With the recent refugee crisis happening all over Europe, we at the World Film Collective have decided to take our training program over to Calais to teach the young people how to make films off their mobile phones. We've also then given them a platform to share their stories about what it's like living in the refugee camp dubbed the jungle. During this time, many different organisations across Europe and the UK have been gathering and offering supplies to the refugees in Calais, from clothes, foods, tents, sleeping bags, and even mobile phones. Yes, even mobile phones, because these refugees are people just like you and me. They've lost their homes, but they have families and people that they want to stay in contact with. Today we've travelled down to Kent to speak to a phenomenal woman who's been using her travel blog as well as her Facebook page to cause awareness about what is happening in Europe at the moment. Very excited to speak to her and find out what it is exactly that she's doing. Jasmin, thank you so much for taking time out from your busy day to speak to us here at World Film Collective. Firstly, please tell us about your blog, The Worldwide Tribe.
So the Worldwide Tribe is a communications channel inspiring a community of international citizens, basically. So the idea is to bring people together, to encourage people to think about each other as a one human race, that we're all the same, we all live on this world together, and that's the idea and the concept behind it.
What made you want to make a call to action with regards to helping the Syrian refugees in Calais?
So it's not just the Syrian refugees, there are all nationalities of refugees in Calais. There's lots of Sudanese, there's actually only a small amount of Syrians in Calais. There's Eritreans and people from Afghanistan, so there's a whole mixture, and that makes it a really, really interesting place to be. But what led me there in the first place was a conversation with my mum, actually, and we were reading the paper one Saturday morning, and just there was a lot of information in the news which was quite negative about what was happening in Calais. So there was talk of marauding migrants and swarms of migrants, and that we were kind of under invasion, but there was no answers as to kind of who are these people and what's happened to them and why they want to come to England, and if they even do want to come to England. So we had a lot of questions that we wanted to answer, and my brother's a documentary filmmaker, so we decided to head out to Calais to try and get some answers that we weren't getting from the mainstream media.
And how easy was it to gather all of the supplies?
So as I say, it wasn't the intention in the first place to gather supplies. We wanted to go and get some answers, create some content, and also we did go out with some food and some clothes and a boot full of stuff. But after we went that first time, I felt very emotional about what we'd experienced there. So I wrote a post about it just to my personal Facebook about the day and what we'd seen. And I went to bed that night feeling emotional and drained, and I woke up in the morning just a few hours later and the post had been shared 65,000 times, and I naively had put my address and my brother's address and a few friends' addresses online to say, if you want to donate, you can drop stuff off in these addresses across London. And we were inundated. The next few days saw like thousands of Amazon deliveries of brand new sleeping bags, tents, so many clothes, so many shoes, so much food. It was unbelievable. My whole garden, my mum and dad's driveway and garage, and everything was completely full. We were totally overwhelmed, and we had to really, really quickly get a warehouse and then another warehouse. And we really quickly took our addresses offline, obviously, and no, it wasn't difficult, it just happened. And there was a huge outpouring of public generosity.
You physically have been going to and from Calais, travelling there all the time. What has the experience been like for you?
Well, things have really changed in Calais, which is amazing. Things are progressing, and over the last few months we have seen a lot more volunteers and a lot more activity and action happening in the camp, which is great, because when we first went, one of the things that shocked us so much was the lack of organisation or volunteers or any kind of presence in the camp that was really, really helping or supporting these people. So we have seen a lot of change, but the situation continues to be unacceptable for people to be living like that, and we are still working hard to develop and work on that situation. So hopefully we can continue to support the people there throughout the winter, because it's going to get harder day by day.
Yeah, it is indeed. Please, can you explain to me and everyone else who's watching this today what a day in the jungle is actually like?
Yep, so I mean, I always stay in the Sudanese area of the camp, so I have the best knowledge of their kind of day. So we get up quite early when I'm there, and they live in a kind of community of about 10 to 15 generally men. There's a lot more men in the camp than there are women for various reasons, such as many of them are fleeing military service. So they then have a kind of rota of who's cooking, and they do get one meal between 5 and 7 in the evening provided for them, but you have to queue for a long time for that meal, and there isn't always enough for everybody. So they do try and cook in their own communities, so they'll have a kind of rota, and also someone to go and collect water and someone to go and collect wood, again on a bit of a rota. So we'll have a bit of food and yeah, just kind of set ourselves up for the day, which is not that easy in that environment, because there's no facilities, there's no easy access to water. The toilets, I won't even go into the details, but yeah, there's not real sanitation or hygiene within the camp. And then people are very hospitable. Then I generally spend some time like going to visit some other friends and talking to people and drinking tea. And the thing is, what's hard for the people is they are very educated, and they do have a lot of qualifications, and there's doctors and lawyers, but they can't do anything when they're there because they're kind of in this weird limbo where they can't work. And then as it comes to evening time and it gets darker, people get ready to try and make the journey to the tunnel station, which is a 2-hour walk. So they walk there, crossing a lot of barbed wire and razor wire fences, and try and make their way to England and risk their lives in doing so, basically. So it's quite a scary journey, and they jump off bridges and onto the railway track, and many people break their backs and their necks in doing so. And then when they get caught by police and get sent back to the jungle, then they make their way back. Often they've been sprayed with tear gas or something like that, and then they'll sleep in the early hours of the morning. So that's a general 24 hours, yeah, as I've experienced it.
Do you think the UK government is doing enough, and should they be doing more?
Well, my chain of thought is that I'm not a politician, and I kind of found myself in this situation, and before I was doing this full time, I work in fashion, and the team, we've got someone who works in advertising and a filmmaker, and we're all kind of young creatives, and it's difficult for us because we don't really know enough about politics to properly answer those questions. But what I would say is that something needs to change, and it's quite obvious that it does, and that from our perspective, what we have seen that is really valuable and really works is that we're kind of there's a movement happening now, you know, it's a grassroots movement that people who don't feel represented by our government are actually standing up and taking action themselves, and that's really, really inspiring and emotional every day. And we are overwhelmed by the support of thousands and thousands of people who are actually like, right, enough is enough, like this is crazy, and we're gonna actually do something, we're gonna donate, we're gonna volunteer, and yeah, we found that every single day that the endless people do not feel represented by the actions of the government.
So you and your team, your family, your boyfriend, you've been going to other parts of Europe, Hungary, your boyfriend's literally just come back from Lesbos. Please tell us more about that.
So he's just come back from Lesbos, and that's been a very emotional journey for him, pretty traumatic, because the situation there is, again, not documented accordingly by the media, and really quite shocking. You know, people are en masse dying there. There's people's feet are rotting because they don't have shoes, and they're standing in the cold mud in queues for registration for days on end without food. And yeah, really, really shocking circumstances that he wasn't ready for, and no one would be ready for. And yeah, I think we can't expect to be happening in Europe in 2015. It's really, really quite shocking, and it was the same for me when I spent time on the Hungarian border. So we're now starting to think about and actually sending aid out to these other places.
What is your message to the people out there who are still completely ignorant to what is happening at the moment?
I would say that, you know, it doesn't even take an action. Not everybody is, you know, in the position that they can go to Calais and that they can bring aid there, but you don't have to. I think the most important thing is to just open your mind to the fact that, like, these people nobody leaves everything behind, their home, their family, their everything that they know, to embark on a really dangerous journey, an expensive journey, a journey that, you know, crosses the Med, and people are drowning, as I say, en masse, and then walking across Europe to make it to Calais, to live in a refugee camp. No one does that unless you don't have a choice, unless you don't have an option. And yeah, I would just invite people to think about that, read about it, and incite a bit of compassion in your mindset around immigration, around these people that want to come to the UK, and yeah, just come together as kind of one community of people to support each other and help each other through this crazy time that we find ourselves in.
How can people get involved in your cause, donate, assist?
So people can check us out on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/The Worldwide Tribe. So that's where you can find the most information and kind of hub of activity. And at The Worldwide Tribe on Instagram, that's where we're posting like regular updates from the camp and an intimate kind of view of life in the camp. And check our documentaries coming out in the next few weeks. So checking that out and sharing it and supporting this kind of idea that, you know, we are all the same and the world is our home. That's the most important thing that people can do right now, is to just share that view and spread that love, really.
It's a selfless act to want to help somebody, and it's great to know that people like Jasmin actually do exist, take time out of their busy schedules to go and give back. Keep up to date with our WFC filmmakers in Calais by subscribing to our YouTube page, World Film Collective. Remember, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever done in vain.